The ad tech industry is abuzz with speculations on how the recent iOS 14 updates will impact mobile advertising. Meanwhile, we have been already witnessing major shifts that are changing the way digital marketers collect data, the most significant being the restrictions on the third-party cookies. Will we see cookies crumble in this decade? What does the future look like for digital-first marketers? We have with us today Mike Kujanek, who is the founder and CEO of Magnitude Digital. He will attempt to answer these questions in this session. Please welcome him with a great round of applause, and as well as our panelists.
You can't hear me. There we go. Excellent. Some small logistics things here. Yeah, it's been the last year's been tough for everyone here. I know it's absolutely great being in Vegas now and seeing you guys here, and we'll try to keep this animated after lunch. I know it's everyone here is probably a little tired or so, but yeah, we're going to keep it interactive. So yeah, Mike Kujanek, CEO and founder of Magnitude Digital. We're here to talk about performance marketing and what that looks like now with the introduction of privacy regulation and a lot of changes around that, and as well as iOS 14 that I'm sure many of you have heard of or are now working through as of the last few months. This is a major topic for our industry. We don't mean to bore you at all. This is actually probably issue number one, priority number one for many brands and marketers in this time of age. So we have a number of folks here that I'd like to introduce. And we do have slides, by the way, so if you could transition. Thank you. Thank you. We have different, differences of opinion. We have different members of my team here, as well as an agency partner of ours with Condé Nast that we want to introduce you to. We also have one of our senior advisors here who's a GDPR and CCPA compliance expert as well. And so yeah, we'll try to make the most of the 30 minutes here. We have a lot to get through, but please, if you have any questions at the end, feel free to ask or try to catch any one of us after this. So thank you again. Excellent. So we'll go through a quick intro on the company, on who you're with today and our companies. We'll talk about how brands have changed over time with context to where we are today with the data regulation changes. And then the Cookiepocalypse. What does this mean for your business? What do you need to do right now to help continue your growth, but also line of sight into your performance? Because you're absolutely at risk of losing that line of sight in the coming months, especially at least the next 24 months. Excellent. So we'll leave you with some advice from today. Great. Brett, if you'd like to continue.
Hello. My name is Brett Gieser. I'm the VP of Paid Media here at Magnitude Digital. I have extensive experience working on retail marketing, especially from a brand and agency side, and I'm very happy to discuss our presentation today.
Go ahead, Ian.
Hi guys, my name is Ian Wagner. I'm the Director of Mobile Advertising here at Magnitude Digital. I'm going to walk you through how we're going to be tracking in-app actions in a post-iOS 14 world.
Excellent.
Hi, I'm Adam. I lead market development and product innovation for Citizennet, which is a Condé Nast company.
And lastly, we don't have Bill Page on here, but Bill, if you could go, that'd be great. Yeah.
Hello, I've been a senior advisor for Magnitude Digital for about 5 years now. I advise them on infrastructure, compliance, risk management, and more recently with the legal changes from the GDPR through to the CCPA, and also worldwide standards such as those in other parts of the world, Japan in particular with their compliance too, and privacy data protection laws.
Excellent. Thanks, Bill. Great. A little bit about us, and then we'll get right to the subject matter here. Adam, if you'd like to continue to talk about Condé and our work.
So as a quick introduction, Citizennet is one of the leading social marketing advertising platforms in the space. We've been a leader in the space ever since there was a space for social advertising. We started it in, go to the next slide.
Next slide.
We started it, yeah, you can go through the animations. We started in 2009 as a social listening platform, built 6 patents on social content analysis, and we quickly transitioned to the ads business because we realized there was no money in social analytics back in 2009. The landscape's changed a lot since. In 2017, we were acquired by Condé Nast, and from 2017 on, we've been acting as a social and data innovation lab within Condé. So we actually manage a lot of the internal Condé Nast business for their marketing teams. If you're not familiar with Condé Nast, you might be familiar with some of their titles like Vogue, Vanity Fair, GQ, The New Yorker, Wired, etc. In addition to that, we also act as an external agency, and we actually manage a lot of the social advertising strategies and placements for major entertainment companies like Live Nation, BuzzFeed, and MGM.
Awesome. As a strategic partner of Citizennet and Condé Nast, Magnitude Digital, we are essentially the performance arm that is working with Citizennet. We're a digital performance marketing agency. We're based in New York City. We have staff now, since pandemic, working all over the country, but we serve brands globally. I'd say more mid-tier to enterprise level is what we focus on. But traditionally, we're very focused on lead generation-based companies, services, e-commerce. We do some branding, but largely what has been a catalyst for our growth in the last few years has been mobile app marketing. Something that's powered our company and growth, and you'll hear more about this from specialists on our team. But why do people work with us? Just 3 key things is that we have the ability as growth marketers here, performance marketers, to work without the red tape, working across several different channels to make a bespoke media plan that suits the needs of your business now. And regardless of what platform that may be. We are a mobile-first agency, and I say that because that is the future. Second is the talent. So you've got a chance to meet everybody here. Every one of us, we're from large holding company agencies or large publishers or so we bring to the table a lot of experience as a very small and nimble digital agency as well. Last but not least are the enterprise tools. So we work with a number of companies in our technology suite that help to provide that access to smaller companies too. So there's a lot that we can do to help make sure that those resources are available. I'll continue here with our client success. Ian, if you'd like to continue with Boss, that'd be great.
Sure. So I'm going to showcase here the power of the mobile advertising ecosystem. We acquired them as a client early 2018. And as a result of their onboarding with Magnitude Digital and Citizennet, we were able to actually scale their company 6x, and we were able to reduce their customer acquisition costs by 50%. Keep in mind, during the COVID-19 pandemic, their stock price also 6x as well. So there was tremendous growth there as a result of mobile advertising. People are at home. What are they doing? They're installing apps. They're on their phone. Brett, for you, for Butterfly?
Sure, thanks. So with Butterfly, we had some great collaboration with Citizennet and really drove some great performance from a holistic media journey, focusing on paid search, social, display, and email. And for 2020, again, we exceeded our Q4 sales goals by over 692%. Also, we had some really great ROAS, over 153%. So again, we reached really strong performance in regards to our target audience, along with some really strong performance from lead generation and purchase perspective.
Back to you.
So this is a very unique case here for Revolt TV. Traditionally, they would have an in-person summit every single year. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, we transitioned to a fully virtual model. And with this, due to mobile advertising, we were able to actually achieve all-time record summit attendance. And this is all done from your couch. Very incredible.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Great. So understanding the kind of the era of disruption and change, we're going to talk about what brands and how brands have evolved over time. So Adam, you have the floor.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about some of the trends that you may be seeing right now or you should expect to see over the next year or two. Before I dive into what this post iOS 14 and cookieless world looks like, just by show of hands, like, if you understand what's going on with iOS 14 and cookies, can you just raise your hand? All right, so about half the room. I'm just going to summarize it for you. Basically, Apple is allowing their users to opt out from being tracked. And same thing with Chrome. They're removing cookies from the Chrome experience, so when you shop and you browse the internet, you're not going to be tracked. The whole idea is to give a little privacy back to the consumer. And so that's going to change the landscape significantly for marketers trying to generate revenue for their business. I'd say in the last decade and a half, we've seen a lot of the experiences around marketing move towards digital, and that's because in digital environments you can get quick ROI, and as a part of that, the relationships with your consumers have become much more transactional in the last 15 years or so. But I'm actually going to take you on a little field trip right now. We're going to go back in time to 1984, where Steve Jobs and Ridley Scott produced. Is there sound on this?
I don't think
There's no sound on this. Okay. There's supposed to be sound on this, so if you want to watch this, you can just look it up on YouTube. But this is it.
You're good.
It's a little awkward without sound, huh? Long story short, it didn't always look like a transactional landscape. Back in 1984, almost 4 decades ago, there was a lot of storytelling involved. There was a lot of connecting with your consumer, and that hasn't actually gone away completely. Mike, you might just want to skip through this one.
Yep.
Since there's no sound.
Not a problem.
So the focus is back on storytelling. I mean, that. If you can move forward, Mike.
Yes.
The idea here is to build better emotional connections with your consumer. And that is going to be the trend that's coming up over the next, I'd say, last 2 years. If you look at what YouTube has done with creators, they've built audiences and told stories. If you look at what influencer marketing has done with social, everyone has a story to tell. In fact, if you are on social media yourself, whether it be LinkedIn, Snapchat, Facebook, or Instagram, you are a storyteller. The difference is, Mike, if you can, next slide. The difference is understanding, how to tell that story to the right consumer and how to resonate with them. Those who can tell more effective stories ultimately build a better relationship with their customers and drive 3x lifetime value with their consumers. So that is one of the reasons why storytelling will become one of the largest trends in the coming years. But the difference between 1984 and 2021 is the fact that we have a lot more data signals at our fingertips. So we understand our consumers a lot better than we've ever known before. And that enables us to really take the story to another level, to be able to segment audiences and really create and craft stories that will enable them to really engage with your brand. I think a good example of this is if you look at Nike. Nike has invested into a movie, I think it was called Uncle Drew. And I think most people don't even realize there was a large investment from Nike. That entire experience was a piece of content, and in pretty much every other frame, you saw Nike. So you were being advertised by Nike, but it was just one long piece of content. So the opportunity here really for most businesses is to understand that you are a storyteller yourself, but what you should be looking to do in the next year or two is really build up your audiences. Build up your first-party audiences, build up your consumers, and from that, weaponize your first-party audiences like any other storyteller would across social media. So with that being said, I have this theory that a lot of brands are actually media companies on social, right? Most brands have a story to tell. They have an audience as well. If you have an audience, you have a story, you are a media company. So if you're a media company, there's a lot of ways to work with other brands and market yourself. So even if you don't have your audiences right now, it shouldn't stop you from co-marketing with another brand who doesn't have an audience, right? MGM and UFC, they both have their own respective audiences, and they're both partners. So my recommendation would be for MGM and UFC to kind of co-market themselves. This is not a new concept. It's been around for ages. But with social media, now you have the opportunity to make money on it too. There should be no reason why creators and influencers are the only ones making money, or even publishers are the only ones making money by producing content. If you are a media company, if you're even a business, chances are you have a salesperson knocking on your door trying to sell you something. That means your attention is valuable. That means your voice is also valuable. So if you are a business and you have an audience set and you were to recommend that vendor to your audience, what is that recommendation worth to that vendor, right? So again, in any environment, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook, you have the opportunity to monetize your brand. And I think those are some trends you should be looking at moving forward in the coming years. So I want to show you a couple of examples of this. Mike, if you move to the next slide, branded content actually has an 86% ad recall rate and 22% more engaging content. And in this example, this is sort of how you can experience it on Facebook or Instagram, right? You have a piece of content that is completely driven by the advertiser, but it comes from a third-party voice who provides a level of authenticity. You know, I like to compare branded content to pizza. Chances are you like pizza, and if you like pizza, you typically have a shop that you're very loyal to. And if you walk into that pizza shop and they have something as a topping that shouldn't be on pizza, in my opinion, pineapple should not be on pizza. So if they have pineapple on pizza, but it's your favorite pizza shop, maybe there's a greater chance you'll actually consume that. That's branded content, right? If you have content, you have a story to tell, and you have an audience, and you produce a piece of content, and even if it's an advertiser or another business, chances are you're going to listen to that at least. If The Rock goes out with a new video and talks about how Depends is the best brand for his grandmother, you're going to listen to that whether you like it or not. So now that you've understood, skip the slide, Mike. Yep. Yeah, I'll hand it off to Mike.
Sure.
Okay. You all set? Okay, yeah. I know we're running short on time here, so we'll try to get through as much of this as we can here, and we may be short on time for questions, so we'll do our best here. But yes, at this point, thank you, Adam, for bringing us there and giving us context on this. We want to talk about the Cookiepocalypse. Why is this important? If you are working in acquisition marketing, why do you need to do something now? So starting that here, I'd like to introduce Bill again. He'll talk to you real quickly about what's happened in the landscape here and the fact that legal and regulators are really what are leading the way, dictating how we function in the ad industry concerning safeguarding data privacy. And if you ask us, it really should be the other way around. But Bill, if you could please, that'd be great.
Okay, so we've got two. We've got the legal and the technological aspect. You've got the technological companies, Apple, Google, trying to set standards because the standards are going to be enforced on them by different government bodies anyway. In Europe, they had a huge change several years ago with the GDPR, which affected almost everyone, everywhere, who can have people accessing their website from Europe or any data that could identify a European citizen, whether it's in America or not. Same as Japan with the PMARC, privacy mark. They had the same thing in implementing standards for privacy. So you've got these government bodies, the CCPA with the California Consumer Protection Act, which is piggybacked off the GDPR in many ways, and it's sweeping through the nation. So you've got on one side you've got legal bodies setting standards, and then you've got technological companies trying to pacify them and change the direction. And where that leaves the digital marketing world is they've got to navigate through that. As I said earlier to my colleagues, there's more chance of a piece of space debris landing on you than you being affected directly by personal information being lost or misused when you're tracked. So really right now, we have to work in hand with digital marketing agencies who understand how to navigate through these standards, the legal and technological ones, and come up with a better way to provide content to the audiences that want to see that, receive that, without upsetting these bodies and getting huge fines. And just like FATCA standard for international banking is being implemented globally, it's going to happen here in America. GDPR people, they're going to send agents to come and find people who are not compliant. So my advice is get compliant, bite the bullet, work with the digital marketing agency to navigate through so your content can still be delivered to your audience.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah, the reality is on that is it's a matter of whether users on your site are accepting cookies and allowing themselves to be tracked, thus giving you a line of sight from their first click in any advertising ultimately to the sale, and also knowing your customer. To give you an idea, and we'll have to move on really quickly here, but CCPA, California Consumer Privacy or Protection Act, was enacted January 2020, just right before the pandemic. To date, total cost by American businesses for compliance on that has been approximately $475 million in the midst of a pandemic and in the midst of an economy that is so desperate for recovery. So companies, American businesses really, as much as American consumers are looking for, and and absolutely deserve the privacy and ability to opt out as they need, their business is paying for it. So it's very, very much of a broken system, but in order to participate for brands and advertisers to be part of that, you need to be compliant. It's excellent. I'll move on to Brett.
Sure. So who's ready for that cookieless world? Can I get a show of hands? 1, 2. Okay. So awesome. Come talk to us after this. But anyway, with GDPR and Apple iOS 14, these laws being, I guess the technology being implemented and being enforced, we've seen a lot of challenges for our brands, especially from a performance standpoint. An example, when GDPR was implemented, I had a retailer, we had to remove all of our first-party data from our programs. We had to pause paid social, and pretty much we were in the dark for over a month. And our performance really suffered, and it really hit our bottom lines, hitting our KPIs and goals, not only for the agency, but also for the brand itself. And that's something that we really have to keep in mind, is that it's also a performance angle with being compliant with GDPR and the Apple iOS 14 updates. I know Ian had an update as well.
Yeah, sure. So with the rollout of iOS 14.5 in April, actually only 4% of iOS users were actually opting into the ATT, the App Transparency Tracking prompt, which will allow us marketers to actually track their journey post-install in the app, and if they're generating your business revenue via in-app events, right? As the months pass, that's actually increased up to around 15-16%. So there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel here.
But companies are still being fined. As of recently, I believe Google was fined last week for another GDPR compliance issue. But again, over the past year, $8.8 billion has been fined with Facebook and Google. So it's something that it's on the minds of a lot of brands to make sure that we are compliant, so they're not losing out on the bottom line.
Yep. Keep in mind, GDPR applies to any use of any sites by any European citizen, that is, regardless of where they are in the world. So that can happen here in the States. You can get a notice from the regulators, that is, from the EU. We've heard of it before. Usually you get a warning, but please, by all means, take that seriously. The minimum fine, or whenever is the greater, is 10 million euros for a one-time fine, or 2% of your annual revenue. So you decide which one you want to pay. It's pretty horrible. Excellent. We're going to continue here.
Sure. So advertisers, brands need to act now. If not, you're going to be losing a lot of your insight from ad performance. You don't want to be wasting your dollars on advertising that you're not able to track or even report upon. And so it's we really strongly suggest that having a solution in place prior to activating media is key, especially in the next 6 to 12 months. Something that we found from an advertiser perspective, that again, you lose the efficacy from our advertising, but also lose that personalization, where we can't custom create unique ads that show great intent for our consumers. So that really has an effect on our CTR and our engagement. Something that we have put in place to really negate this cookieless world is really recommending server-to-server authentication. And something we've been working on with all of our brands to move forward with to transition, because pixel conversion-based tracking is going out and going to be pretty much a guide and not really be the source of truth for any advertiser or brand.
Thank you. Lost my train of thought for a second. You have it, to give you an idea historically, right? So benchmarks that we've seen, there's always inherently a tracking gap, right? Historically in digital marketing, because of considerations of pixels not always firing or ad blocking technology being in play, you typically want to look at about a 10% discrepancy on what you can really track in marketing tools and reporting versus what's truly on the back end, what's in your CRM, what's in your e-commerce platform. Without any change here, you're going to gradually see that the more that people adopt and opt in for, or opt out of tracking, I should say, the more that you'll be kind of blinded by this. So, we anticipate this up until January 2023 to continue for its fall from 90% all the way to potentially 40, 30% if you keep tracking the same way as it is. It's kind of if you don't make the change and you make investment decisions on that, it's kind of a race to the bottom. Yeah. So you have to make some changes.
And optimizing blind is not the best way from a digital marketing perspective.
Exactly. Yep. Great. Ian, would you like to continue?
Absolutely. So who here has a mobile app that drives revenue for your brand currently? Can I get a show of hands? One person, 2 people. Okay. Do you guys work with any MMPs, for example, AppsFlyer, Coachava, Singular, anything like that? Any analytics platforms on your end? No? Okay. So this is an absolute must-have in the current digital ecosystem post 14.5. Basically, what they do is that this allows you to leverage Apple's SCAD network. And what a SCAD network is that it's Apple's API that allows you to actually track installs and in-app events from clicks and impressions from your digital ads. And it gives you a data suite, and you can see multiple touch points. For example, someone saw the ad on an OTT platform, then on Facebook, then on Google. It'll basically track them down the whole entire marketing funnel, from the install to even an in-app purchase.
Yeah, it's based on directional data. It's clustering technology where you look at that subset that you're tracking, the opt-ins, that is, the 20, 30%, and it extrapolates it to say, well, this is probably how your users are interacting on a post-install basis. Awesome. So what can you do about this today? We're going to have several different opinions here and a few things that we can go through. Brett, if you'd like to continue.
I think one piece is owning your first-party data, making sure that you're utilizing your CRM data either through Salesforce or through another internal system. Additionally, utilizing a DMP, where you can definitely I would say, segment your audiences, and from segmenting your audiences, you can create lookalike audiences that really can drive performance. So you can utilize your first-party data along with your lookalike data based off that first-party data to really continue to drive performance for your brand or for your agency as well.
DMP's data management partners are like LiveRamp, for example. They're very costly to access for especially small, medium-sized business, but there are reseller opportunities, ways that you can use that same technology. We're very happy to help with that. The whole idea is to centrally manage those audiences, take control of your customer data, and then decide where you want to push those audience lists or create lookalike audiences of your own. That being said, if you want to continue.
I was going to say, yes, DMPs are expensive, but we believe that the juice is worth the squeeze, where you can drive a lot of performance, a lot of positive revenue from implementation of a DMP such as LiveRamp. With conversion tracking, that's kind of going the way of the dinosaurs. It's going to be pretty much obsolete technology, and it's going to be used mostly as directional, pixel-based, and it's going to be used mostly for directional purposes. So again, you don't want to be optimizing blind. You don't want to guess what your performance is. You want to have solid numbers to report to your chief financial officer or your CEO about what's going on with your digital marketing programs.
Yeah.
And obviously for mobile analytics, I would definitely recommend integrating with an MMP, whether it be AppsFlyer, Coachava, or Singular. Basically, as I stated earlier, it allows you to track in-app events even in a post-iOS 14.5 world. In addition to that, the mobile ad ecosystem, it is an ecosystem of fraud. So essentially what this does is that it blocks fraud at the source, and it makes sure that you're not wasting any of your digital ad dollars.
Lastly, is making sure that you have a solid reporting and attribution platform in place, especially for larger brands. You want to make sure that you're understanding where the true source of your sales is coming from. Keep in mind that if you're running the trying to keep us honest on time here. If you're looking, we're using the duopoly or even triopoly, that is, Google, Facebook, Amazon or so, you can overcount customers because they're self-attributing ad networks. So the idea is to have a clear line of sight of where everyone is coming through on an attribution basis, understanding did somebody interact on Facebook, Google, and elsewhere, and measuring that evenly. So ways of looking at that too. Last but not least, did you want to mention something on compliance, Bill? Just what they should look for?
Yeah, is make sure that your sites are optimized for compliance. That's your terms, your conditions, use of your privacy policies, your checkboxes for any forms you've got for people, one to contact and one to have their data. So it's pretty serious stuff, and a lot of small companies are getting into trouble, and bigger companies are spending a lot of money. So work with your digital marketing agency, work with people that can help you become compliant, and save yourself a lot of headache in the future.
So very happy to help you with this. Feel free to reach out to us if you'd like a free consultation proposal. Very happy to talk to you. So yeah, that was we're ending here. But thank you very much on this. And do we have any time for questions or?
Unfortunately, we don't because we are running behind on schedule.
Okay.
But if you have any questions, I'm sure they're free to approach you, right, privately?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much.